everyone, I am Joyce B. Varon, a BizEd 1B English major. So this video will tackle all about what is language, dialect, and variety. So now, let's start. So now, there are three perspectives that we need to tackle all about. The first one is Hankey's perspective, and the second one is Kumar's perspective, and lastly is Kachuro's perspective. There are three things that we need to consider in Hankey's perspective. The first one is the problem, the second one is the criteria, and lastly is the dialect variety. An example of the problem is Dutch versus German. German native speakers cannot understand Dutch, but some words can be understood when seen in spelling. In contrast, native speakers of Dutch can understand German very well. Next is criteria. So, example, Chinese. Chinese can understand each other when there is the same in writing system, but in speaking, they cannot understand each other because they have different variety of language. So the third one is the dialect variety. So example, Jamaican Creole. So there are problems with the concept of mutual intelligibility. So another thing that we need to consider is the language criteria. So here, as I have read, so there are 5. The first one is standardization, which is the development of grammar, like spelling, words, dictionary, just like that. Then vitality, the next one, which it refers the existence of living community of speakers. The third one is autonomy, which it refers a matter of a feeling and as rather subjective criterion. A language must be felt, disquest from other languages, but as we've already seen. The fourth one is reduction. So reduce written standards and reduce function in the society help to distinguish varieties from standard languages. And the last one is norms, which it refers between good and bad languages. Languages normally involve norms and varieties don't. So that was the under the language criteria. Next, another consideration we need to consider is dialect variety. So there are 3 main types of variety or dialects. So the first one is regional, which indicating the Scottish versus English speaker. In English, we have degrees of rhoticity in words. So what do we mean by rhoticity? So it is the pronunciation of the post-vocalic R. Example, the word car. So in America, they pronounce R highly, like car, like that. But in British, they lowly pronounce R like ka, like it's slowly disappearing. And the second one is social. So it refers when two people speak with one another, their language is always influenced by a number of social factors. Then the third one is phonological. So it refers the influence of accent, like in England, the Queen received pronunciation or RP versus North American signaling North American English. So to distinguish these two, example, the realization of the word class. So in received pronunciation or RP, they pronounce it class. But in North American English, they pronounce it class. So that was the example. So all of those are Hankey's perspective in language, dialect, and variety. Now let's proceed to Kumar's perspective. So according to Kumar, language means innate human capacity it developed in us. So it is a fully structured system. It defines humans. It is used in society. The rules used are systematic as well. It is both individual as well as social entity. So when we say language, it defines as human. When we use language, it developed in us. It was used in our society. So there are rules that are systematic as well to be followed. So both individual as well as the social entity is using language. Next is grammaticality versus acceptability. So in grammaticality, there are rules of language, while acceptability depends on the rules of language use or governs by the rules of language use. So example of grammaticality. So a colorless green ideas sleep furiously. So as we can see, it is grammatically correct in social context, but in terms of acceptability, it is unacceptable. So now let's proceed to the example of acceptability. So here is an example: the use of the second person you in Hindi. So there are three like AAP and up or tum and tu were two. So these three are the you or second person pronoun in Hindi. So in AEP or up, it is for formal or for like for elders or older than you. Then tum is same age group. Then the third one is tu. This is for the common or familiar formality. So those three are depends of formality. And next is the society. So we're going to define what is society. So society is for the purpose of the study of language, a group of at least two people in the group with no upper limit may constitute society. It refers to a group drawn together for a purpose. So as we all know that society means a group of people that living in that particular area. And now let's proceed to identity. So what is identity? Identity refers to a linguistic construction of membership in one or more social groups or categories. It is not preconceived as male or female. It is a nuanced way of referencing. So identity means do not mean that it is male or female, but it is nuanced way of referencing. Now let's proceed to speech community. So what is speech community? So it refers to the individuals who linguistically behave alike, speak the same language or dialect or variety. Another meaning is individuals who observe same linguistic norms. And lastly is the individuals may belong to many speech communities. So those are the group of people that speak the same language, the same dialect, and the same variety of language. So there are some domains of language use or functions. So it affects the family, the friends, the community, the business, the religion, government, media, and education. So those are some domains of language use or functions. And lastly is dialect. So for Kumar, what is dialect? So according to him, it is socially loaded term. Superficiality of the distinction, all natural language that people speak are acquired in the same manner. So having this question, then how could one be language and the other dialect? So to answer that, there is a famous quote. So a language is a dialect with an army and a navy. So the meaning for this is note that no distinction of language and dialect. So they're mostly the same, language and dialect. But they differ in the varieties or how they pronounce it. So now let's proceed to Ketcher's perspective. So according to Ketcher, there is the three circles, which are the inner circle, the outer circle, and the expanding circle. So in inner circle, the countries that are included are USA, UK, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. While in outer circle, The countries included Ghana, India, Nigeria, Philippines, Singapore, and Sri Lanka. While an expanding circle is the countries that are included are China, Egypt, Indonesia, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and Thailand. In the inner circle, it refers to English language that originally took shape and later was spread across the world in its first diaspora. English was the primary indeed, with the exception of Canada, and refers to English speakers from England carried the language through Australia, New Zealand, and the North America as well as the extended British Isle or UK. While in the outer circle, the countries and regions such as the Caribbean, India, Nigeria, Pakistan, the Philippines, and Singapore are now routinely characterized as English using. Another meaning is in these countries and regions that a vibrant tradition of literacy creativity flourishes and awarded of Nobel Prizes for their creative way of writing using English language. While in the expanding circle, so here it represents the further diffusion of English propelled by the political and economic influence. English has limited rules in the public life, basically in higher education in science and technology, and very restricted function in the personal domain. So another thing that we should consider that affects language is the accent, which the feature commonly used as a criterion in talking about variation. So it refers in addition to the pronunciation of sounds, to stress and intonation, or to the rhythm of speech. Another thing that we should consider is the speech community and the speech fellowship. So this is the last one. So both EFL and ESL countries, together with the countries where English is the primary language, belong to the same speech community. So this refers to a wide-ranging association of varieties which would be considered to be different from one another in particulars. So but which are subsummable as subvarieties under a broad label. So another meaning for this is within the wider speech community, there are speech fellowships that are marked by local contextual features. So that was for speech community and speech fellowship. So that's all. Thank you for watching the video. I hope you understand, or I hope you learn about my videos about language, dialect and varieties, what they are really mean. So those are the different perspectives that we need to consider in defining what's language, again, dialect and variety. Thank you so much and have a great day.